We are James and Leah Woosley. We have 6 kids, ages 28 to 15, 6 grandkids now, it's hard to believe. And we want to talk to you for a little while on getting your children to behave in public. First of all, look for opportunities to train in private. And sometimes you can't even create those opportunities, but look for opportunities to train in private. You can't just expect your child to magically turn into a different child when you get in public. Look for opportunities to train in private. Even role play or talk to them about what they did wrong and then have them practice doing it right. And when they do it right in private, maybe give them something, as a reward because they did it right. They acted right. They responded correctly. But look for opportunities to train them in private.
Another thing is talking to them about what you expect. I remember when the kids were little, going to the store, talking to them right when we pulled up in the parking lot, like, hey, we're at the grocery store, so-and-so, you're gonna be in the cart, you're gonna be holding onto the cart. I don't need you to touch everything. You can talk to each other and play quietly, but this is not the playground, so you can't be loud, and you can't be running around and touch. I would just talk through what I expected of them when we were at the store. If your teacher says this, you need to do it right away. If your teacher wants you to sit down to read a story, sit down so you can hear the story. Just talking through those little things, just so that you feel like they're on the same page with you, was very helpful. Did it always work? Absolutely not. But I felt like it gave us both a better chance of them acting right. It just gave us a better chance if I would just talk through, this is where we're going, this is what's expected of you.
Also, if you do that, now you're disciplining disobedience, not embarrassment, not inconvenience. If you've explained it to them and they know what they're supposed to be doing and now they're not doing it, okay, now they're disobeying. And you can decide, okay, this is how we're going to discipline if a child doesn't obey, but now you're disciplining disobedience, not just inconvenience or embarrassment. Our son, John, our oldest son, and it always seems like we have stories about the oldest one. So if you're on your first child or the first child is a problem, hey, it's going to be okay. Our first child, John, is now the one that edits these videos, and you see him on some Family Foundation videos. He is a fine 28-year-old man with a beautiful wife, 3 kids. It's going to be okay. But it seemed like many of our illustrations will be with our first one because we were trying to figure it out. And
yeah, we'd never had a kid before.
he gets all the attention and, sometimes maybe too much attention from us.
Yeah.
But I remember with our oldest son, John, we had a dog named Sammy, a yellow lab. And we kept hearing that eventually yellow labs would calm down. No, it never happened.
It never calmed down.
But John would go in the backyard and maybe on, during the summer, and Sammy would jump in and John would wrestle with Sammy and have a great time as, a 5, 6, 7-year-old boy. And then all of a sudden he would go out on Sunday morning to feed Sammy and he's in his white shirt and tie and dress pants. And now all of a sudden Sammy wants to jump up on him and John is getting upset and frustrated and irritated. Well, whose fault was that? I mean, John had trained Sammy that this is what we do. I walk out and you jump on me. Sammy did not recognize that, oh, it's Sunday and you're in dress clothes. Just like maybe that 3-year-old is just acting how they always act. But now all of a sudden, because you're in public, you expect him to act differently somehow. Just like Sammy didn't know that it was Saturday or Sunday. I mean, that's just what Sammy did when John would walk out. So if you consistently explain to them, not in a long lecture, but in a brief, concise manner, hey, we're going in the store. This is what we're going to do. Remember, this is how we behave in the store. Now, if they don't obey, it's disobedience. Lastly, along this line, be careful about disciplining inconvenience. It's easy to do because inconveniences are frustrating. Children spill, right? Have you figured that out? They spill, but they don't mean to spill. And sometimes they make a spill in a restaurant or, somewhere where now it's really inconvenient or it gets all over you or, over somebody that, you care about their opinion and now they have red punch all over them. Okay, that's inconvenient. Okay, but be careful. The child did not do that on purpose. If it's news to you that children spill, it shouldn't be a surprise anymore because let me tell you, children spill things. So don't discipline out of inconvenience. if you do, like my wife said, and explain it to them ahead of time so they know what to expect, you know what to expect, and now they're not doing it, it's disobedience. Don't just discipline out of embarrassment. Don't discipline out of inconvenience.
Something along those lines. Sometimes when we talk to our kids, if we're in the store, or like I was talking to before we get there, not to talk a lot. This is something I had to work on when I had little kids. My husband would always say, "Make it short and sweet," because after like the first sentence, all they're hearing is, "Wah, wah, wah." They're not listening anymore. I'm just moving my mouth, but they're not hearing a thing. So short, sweet, to the point, and we're done. So,
And understand that if you're dealing with a 3-year-old, probably their response to your explanation wouldn't be like, oh, the light bulb comes on, like, yes, I am behaving inappropriately. Okay, that's not what is going to happen. But explaining it to them, it makes your expectation plain. And then, like I said, now you could discipline disobedience. It's not, there's no question as to whether or not they knew what to do. They just didn't obey it. One more thing before we go on to the next point, and that is, understand if you're over somebody's house or at church again or you're out in public, many times they're excited. They're excited because they're around other people or they're around their cousins or whatever the case may be, and work to show some patience. I know it can be more embarrassing if they act out or misbehave around other people, but do give some consideration to the fact that, okay, they are 3 and they are excited. And so understand that you want them to be excited. You want them to enjoy their cousin. That doesn't mean that they can, go off the rails, throw a tantrum, disobey. It's not what I'm saying. But show some patience in regards to they might have some 3-year-old excitement.
yeah, and other people are parents too. I mean, we all get it. We all see kids act crazy. We understand that there are ways and times that we're trying to train. So we're not, I don't feel like other parents are judging you. We've been there. We've all been there. We've done that. So, and we're not looking to discipline. Acting out in public, the talk, how to get your kids to behave in public, we're not looking to discipline. We're not going to the store. I'm going to tell you this. Now I'm going to look to see if you're not doing it because I want to discipline. That's not what I did with my kids. I'm telling these things because, hey, let's all have a good experience at the store. Let's have a good time at church. I don't want you to have to get in trouble because you were throwing stuff off the shelf in the store while you're causing a nuisance. We just want to behave.
Right.
This is how we behave in a store. This is how excellent, normal people behave in the store. This is how people behave at church. And just giving them ground rules. We're not looking to get them in trouble.
We're going to get to this next point. I promise. That's where we're going. And it's my wife's point, so I'm pointing it out there.
Okay.
Okay. But I just want to say this. Good discipline is like a basketball official or like an umpire at a baseball game. They should go unnoticed. A good basketball official, you don't even know he's there because nobody turns on the TV to watch the NBA finals to see the referee. They watch the game. They want to watch the game. And you just want your children to behave so you can enjoy church, so you can go about life. It's not all about discipline any more than it's all about the ref. Good discipline can go unnoticed, but understand it doesn't happen by accident.
Right.
Okay? It happens because you practiced in private, because you are consistent, because you work to lead. You don't allow a 3-year-old to lead, and you might be thinking, I would never let my 3-year-old lead. Okay, if he leads you to frustration, he's in control. If he leads you to out of controlsville, okay, guess what? You're not the leader. The 3-year-old is now. So just understand, good discipline, like my wife was saying, good discipline should go unnoticed. That the point is not discipline, okay? The point is, let's get into the store, buy our stuff, and get out and go home and enjoy our day, okay? But discipline is a part of it, but we would really rather go unnoticed. Okay, as promised, the next point.
Is to do what you say. Like he already mentioned, a lot of the illustrations I feel like that come to my mind are of our first 1 or 2 kids. And like I said, we have 6. But those first kids, I don't know what to expect. I didn't know kids would do this. How am I going to react? So it just takes some time. But if you will take the time and find out what are the keys, I guess, to clicking with my kid on how to behave in public, then the rest of them, like we had 6, it'll be easier for those that follow. I feel like I hardly have any stories with our younger ones because our older ones acted a certain way, and so they followed suit, and sometimes they would. I can remember our youngest son Jeff acting up a little bit, and I remember our son Joe, which is our fourth child, looking at him like, "What are you doing? We don't act like that," and like him getting on the younger one, like, "You're embarrassing me. Stop acting like that." And I didn't even have to say anything, and the younger one was like, "Oh, okay." So I feel like if you just take the time, but a lot of that is doing what you say you're going to do. I can remember going to the store. I had two at the time and two kids, and I was going grocery shopping, and I had talked to, it was our oldest son, John, and he was about 3 years old. Talking to him, we're going to the store, and I had trouble with him, wanting to touch everything that was on the shelf, and talking to him saying, "You're walking by the cart," because I had a baby inside the cart in a car seat, and telling him, "You're going to hold on to the cart. You're not going to touch everything on the shelves. Let's get our stuff so we can get home." So we had almost made it through the whole store. We had gone up the aisles. I'd gotten everything. He was being great. And then all of a sudden, it just got to be like too much for him. And I probably had maybe like 5 more things to get. And he just started, like in the aisle, just started going crazy and like just like grabbing stuff, throwing it in the cart, doing one of those things. If you have kids, you probably understand. And so I had told him before we went in, "Look, if you can't behave, if you're going to get all this stuff off the shelves, then we're going to walk out of that store and we're going home." Um, and so he started acting that way, and I did not want to leave the store. I was almost done. My cart was full of groceries. And I'm like, I don't even know what I have for dinner, but I picked up, my daughter Ruby was in the car seat. I picked up that car seat and I took him by the hand. And as soon as I did and started going towards the door, he just looks at me like, "Where are we going?" And I was like, "I told you, if you could not behave, then we are leaving the store. And we'll talk about it when we get home." And he knew, like, what is going on? Mom said it, and now we're doing it. And he's crying all the way out to the car. Um, but it was a big part of that was me just saying what I was going to do. And honestly, I've never had a time after that where we had any trouble in the store because I had to follow through the first time. Was it inconvenient? It was very inconvenient. I left my grocery cart there. Some poor soul that worked there had to put all that stuff away. But we went home, and for dinner, I didn't have anything for dinner. We ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for dinner. That's all I had. But it was more important that he learns that his mom says what she's going to do what she's going to say, actually, in that moment.
And that leads me to the last point, and that is this: do not reward bad behavior. But before I get there, understand that John, our oldest, wasn't the only one that ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for dinner. I mean, I ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches too. However, both of us were on the same page that, the most important project we have going on is our family. And if that's what it takes to get our children to obey in public, that means that we're going to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for dinner. That's okay. And you know what? I didn't lecture John. I didn't berate him. But he understood that I was eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because he couldn't keep his hands off of stuff in the store. And so his dad and him had a talk about that as we're eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Again, it wasn't a long lecture. However, what she said is accurate. After that, he knew that if she said it, she was going to follow through on what she said. And along those same lines, don't reward bad behavior. Now, you might be thinking, I would never reward bad behavior. You do if your child whines and they get what they're whining about. Never, ever. If a child is whining, he never gets what he wants. In public, in private, on Monday, on Saturday, it doesn't matter. If you whine, you do not get it. If they do get what they want when they whine, you're rewarding bad behavior. If they throw a temper tantrum in church, at the store, just anywhere in public, and you give in, hey, that's a problem, because now again, you are accidentally rewarding bad behavior. You are training them. This is how you get what you want, and don't give them what they want if they're acting out. Now, you can give them what they want if they're behaving appropriately, and I would encourage you to look for reasons to insert positive reinforcement. So whenever they do it right, now all of a sudden you're giving them something, okay? And you're showing them, hey, this is what happens when you behave. I want to give you things. I want to, be nice sometimes. So behave yourself. This is how you're supposed to behave.
I can even remember after I had several kids and going into the store. And I know that I tried not to go when all the kids were home. I tried to go when they were in school, but if they were all together, sometimes even just saying like, hey, we're going to go in here, we're going to grab a couple things. And, I'd love to be able to go to the park afterwards. Let's just, let's get in there. Let's all get all of our stuff and maybe we can head to the park afterwards, and if everything went well, like, thank you guys, that was so easy. Let's head to the park. Or if like, guys, that was just terrible. Like, what was going on? Why was everybody misbehaving? We are not going to the park. We're just going to go home. Like, I need your help. When I'm going to the store, I need your help. But even like sometimes things like that, just letting them know, but definitely looking for ways where telling them like, wow, thank you for your help. You were such a big help. That was a help to me that you acted in such an appropriate way or in a good way. And going back to that point about telling them what you say and then following through with it. I didn't tell him 2 and 3 times. It was like we had a conversation once, and then the first time, we just did it. Like, we're out of here. We're going home. Because I feel like sometimes I would get away with, okay, I remember I said not to do that. If you do that again, it's like you find yourself saying that. As a mom, sometimes I found myself saying that because of inconvenience. I don't want to go home. I want to keep those groceries, but like you said, then I'm training them, like, for what I'm saying, it doesn't matter because she's going to say that about 4 more times. So just throwing those things in.
If you take a moment, like the video, if this video has been a help to you, maybe you can share it with somebody else. If
Those kids are crazy in the store.
Oh, yeah.
They need help.
Or maybe just, sometimes just get your phone out and show a lady in Walmart, here, watch this video, right?
There
If
you
it's been a help, share it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe to the channel. Lee and I also did a video on how to make your home more enjoyable. So you can check that one out as well.